approached everything as if it was not a big deal. So even things that were a really big deal, like when I graduated high school, everyone was like, "Congratulations," and I go, "Yeah, I mean, doesn't everybody graduate high school? You silly." You go in the military. It's like, yeah, a bunch of people go in the military. It's like, oh, you're gonna do this special program. Yeah, I'm gonna do this special program. It's like a lot of people do this special program. And so when it was time for me to get out, I I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I was like, people get out of the military all the time. Can't be that hard. And when I got out, I really I was really lost, and I was okay being lost, and that's probably why I got out. Like a lot of people I watched stay in because they had if you didn't have a very specific plan when you got out, you probably weren't going to get out.
Yeah.
But I was one of those crazy people who got out and was like, yeah, just wing it. I'll go to school. I got GI Bill. So, I get out. It takes months for GI Bill to kick in, by the way, which is like you think that you're going to be able to just start collecting GI Bill as soon as you get out. And then, no, it doesn't work that way. You got to go through the bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, financially, it was difficult. It was like the amount of humility that I experienced was difficult. It's like going from running communications for an entire task force to painting siding on a house. That was humbling. I recognized it as something that was temporary, but at the same time, it was like, shit, man. I used to get like, I was the man, and by comparison, even though I didn't like experience that when I was him, but I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, I was holding a position that I didn't really fully recognize at the time, but I was really lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I saw John's post today, which was fucking spot on, where you were talking about purpose and having a sense of purpose, and yeah, that's spot on. Like when I got out, like there was no sense of purpose. It was completely gone, and I felt like nobody understood me, and I didn't. I was actually planning to go back in. I was going to go to school and then go back in the military.
Same.
Yeah, and I ended up hanging out with a really rough crew of people, up to the point where someone came to kill me one night. I was hanging out with a bunch of other veterans, and this dude he got paranoid about something, and then showed up at my buddy's house at 1 o'clock in the morning, and drew down on us and tried to get us in the basement to shoot us. And
wow. Well then,
yeah, by a crazy, yeah. So I mean, these are like the people I'm like drinking and gambling with multiple days a week. And these guys got into some stuff I didn't get into. They were smoking some funny stuff, but yeah, he came in with the intent to kill, and long story short, I ended up escaping out the attic window and jumping into a tree and getting the police. They got him and everything. But it was that next day I go, holy shit, man! Like my life's a disaster. I went from like prestigious positions and things that are honorable to hanging out with straight up violent criminals, and I was like, this is the opposite. And but it really came from like having no purpose and no community. Like these guys I was hanging out with were all veterans, but there was no good leadership there. There was no direction. There was no purpose, and so it just spiraled into bullshit. And it was at that time that I found a major in school that I liked. I got it. That's when I discovered, around that same time, I discovered exercise sports science was an actual degree program, and I love that stuff. I discovered the sport of weightlifting, and I joined the weightlifting team, and that's where I met my buddies who I ended up having that podcast Barbell Shrugged with.